You there, Brother R?
Scott, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Life is good. Good afternoon, St. Louis, Missouri, on a beautiful day in the neighborhood of Augusta, Georgia, Cincinnati, Ohio, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Charlotte, North Carolina, Hampton, Virginia, Seattle, Washington, Denver, Colorado, Dallas, Texas, Indianapolis, Indiana, Austin, Texas, Detroit, Michigan, Baltimore, Maryland, Nashville, Tennessee, and Kansas City, Missouri, home for the Major League Baseball Kansas City Royals. Welcome to the Missouri Chamber Congress for April the 23rd, 2022. My name is Aaron Frost, your host. You're here along with Elder Alden Lyles. How you doing, Red?
Fine.
And the family?
Fine.
And I know the wife is doing fine also, and their voice is strong.
Amen.
And Brother Scott, how are you doing, sir?
I'm too blessed to be stressed, sir.
I know with this weather, unbelievably nice here in St. Louis. I know you're having a good time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's been people out of where this is going to be our third day at 80 degrees. But again, that will last only for another day or so. But anyway, my name is Al Frost. Welcome to Lunch with the Missouri Chamber Congress on a beautiful Saturday. We also broadcast live on Ferguson USA, hotdogradio.com from beautiful Ferguson, Missouri, Woodson Terrace, and St. Louis City, and Orland, Missouri. The beauty of technology, and now we're about to have our expert for the week with Elder Alden Lyles, pastor of the Walnut Park Bible Chapel Church, located at 5547 Lynn Avenue in North St. Louis, 63120. That's Elder Alden Lyles, the pastor of the Walnut Park Bible Chapel Church, located in North St. Louis on 5547 Lynn Avenue, and that's at 63120 in North St. Louis. And the next word you'll be hearing very shortly will be those of Elder Alden Lyles, pastor of the Walnut Park Bible Chapel Church, located in the heart of North St. Louis at 5547 Lynn Avenue, St. Louis, Missouri. Elder Lyles, how are you doing, sir? And what do you have for us? I know we dropped out here, but what do you have for us, sir?
Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, continue to thank you for your wonderful gospel, how that Christ died for our sin, was buried, and rose again. By continue believing to the saving of the soul, continues to make heaven your home before you sleep and after you sleep. Heavenly Father, we thank that we are already seated in heavenly places in Christ Jesus. And our name is already written in the book of life. The only people's name is written in the book of life is those that have been born again. And Heavenly Father, we know you can do everything but fail. We ask you to bless the sick all over in the universe. And Heavenly Father, we ask you to have the Holy Spirit to convict spirits to be saved before it's ever too late. In Jesus' most precious name, to continue to believe this wonderful gospel. Amen.
Amen, Reverend. Thank you for those beautiful words. You know, the gospel is a beautiful thing, you know, and we heard that last Easter Sunday service, annual Easter service that we had this past year. We had with Bishop George Bishop, I should say, Nathaniel Ellis from Haytown, Missouri. And he's always got some words in life, and always the coincides that you said every church around, we got to be born again.
Amen.
And he said we got to hit our refresh button over and over and over and over again. Make sure our body stay in tune. So what you got for this week, Rev?
We're going to read in the Romans, the 11th chapter. Okay. The whole book of Romans is talking about the gospel of God. Jesus' death, burial, and resurrection. Okay. And it refers to the children of Israel, which the children of Israel is chosen people, and they are God's wife. They Jehovah's wife. But they sent so much unbelief because of their disobedience. That's why they in unbelief. They had everything. God had everything laid out for them, and they didn't have enough sense to know how to be happy with it and walk by faith and not by sight.
What the stiff-necked people they call them now?
Huh?
They call them stiff-necked people?
Oh, yeah, they hard-headed. Hard-headed people. Every person in the universe is hard-headed because they're all wicked until they're born again. So the 11th chapter of Romans, it said, but spiritual Israel is finding salvation. See, you only find salvation when you believe in salvation, the death, the burial, and the resurrection. Listen to what this said. I said, then had God cast away his people. God forbid. That means no. He haven't cast it away. If you married to your wife, you gonna throw her away?
No.
You gonna keep her, ain't you? You gonna forgive her.
And she gonna forgive you too.
Yes, sir.
That's a two-way street, man.
You better hear me. For I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. God had not kept his people, which he foreknew. What? Ye not what the scripture said of Lyles, how he maketh intercession to God against Israel, saying, Lord, they have killed thy prophets, and dig down thy altars, and I am left alone. And they seek my life. But what said the answer of God unto him? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. Come out the devil and his demons.
They all over the place.
Yep. Even so then, at this present time, also there is a remnant according to the election of grace. And you know who that remnant is? That's 144,000. The 12 tribes of Israel and they are all virgins. And it goes to say, and if by grace, then is it no more of works. Otherwise, grace is no more grace. But if it be of works, then is it no more grace. Otherwise, work is no more work. Then it said, national Israel is judicially blinded. They judicially blinded because of their disobedience and their unbelief. What then? Israel had not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the election had obtained it, and the rest were blinded. According as it is written, God had given them the spirit of slumber eyes, that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear, until this day. That's why it's not the Israelites over in Israel now. That's not them. They scattered all over the universe by God. And God gonna bring his wife back. And David said, let their table be made a snare, and a trap, and a stumbling block, and a recompense unto them. Let their eyes be darkened, that they may not see, and bow down their back always. I said then, have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid. But rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentile, for to provoke them to jealousy. Now these Gentiles is talking about is the Gentiles that's in the world, and he provoked them, and it's talking about Abraham, the other seed of Abraham, which was the Edomites, the Jebusites, the Perizzites, all them other kind of isms and sites and rhythms. Now, if the fall of them be the riches of the world, and the diminishing of them the riches of the Gentile, how much more their fullness? See, they didn't know God was going to save the Gentiles. They thought they came and set up the kingdom just for them. But God, they didn't know God's mind. They would have known if they would have not been in unbelief. For I speak to you, Gentiles, inasmuch as I am the apostles of the Gentiles. This is Paul identifying himself. I magnify my office. If by any means I may provoke to immolation them which are my flesh, and might save some of them. For if the casting away of them be the reconciling of the world, what should the receiving of them be but life from the dead? For if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches. And if some of the branches be broken off, and though being a wild olive tree, were grafted in among them, and with them partakers of the root and fatness of the olive tree, boast not against the branches. But if thou boast, thou bearest not the root, but the root thee. Thou wilt say then, the branches were broke off, that I might be grafted in. Well, because of unbelief, they were broken off. And thou standest by faith.
Well, he's saying grafted there. That means that he's been planted amongst us. people here, what's you're saying grafted in, okay? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the grafted in is that what the Lord is talking about here is that he didn't get rid of Israel. He always gonna save them because he loved his wife. And they was broken off by standing by faith. Be not high-minded, but fear. For if God spared not the natural branches, take heed lest he also spare not thee. Behold, therefore, the goodness and the severity of God on them which fail, severity, but toward thee, goodness. If thou continue in his goodness, otherwise thou also should be cut off. And they also, if they abide not, still in unbelief, should be grafted in, for God is able to graft them in again. Even through their unbelief, God is going to bring them back. For if thou were cut out of the olive tree, which is wild by nature, and were grafted contrary to nature into a good olive tree, how much more should these which be the natural branches be grafted into their own olive tree? For I would not, brethren, that ye should be ignorant of this mystery, lest ye should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part is happened to Israel, and to the fullness of the Gentile be come in, and so all Israel should be saved, as it is written, there should come out of Zion the deliverer, and should turn away ungodliness from Jacob. For this is my covenant unto them, when I should take away their sin. As concerning the gospel, they are enemies for your sake. But as touching the election, they are beloved for the Father's sake. For the gifts and calling of God are without repentance. For as ye in times past have not believed God, yet have now obtained mercy through their unbelief. Even so have these also now not believed, that through your mercy they also may obtain mercy. For God had concluded them all in unbelief, that he might have mercy upon all. O the depth of the riches, both of the wisdom and knowledge of God, how unsearchable are his judgments, and his ways past finding out. For who had known the man of the Lord, or who had been his counselor, or what had first given to him, and it should be recompensed unto him again. For of him and through him and to him are all things, to whom be glory forever. Amen.
Well,
So y'all see, God always gonna save his own.
yeah.
See, so it ain't based on you. It's based on you believing in the one who can save you.
Yeah, I think right now, that's where a lot of people are having this disconnect right now. That that we said, they got all these different religions now, and so you're trying to figure out. A lot of people trying to figure out. Well, a lot of people are going away from the church as a whole right now, and that's one of the main problems that we're having now. Is we're trying to understand what we should do and what we shouldn't do. Am I right, Rev?
Yep, they're trying to understand. But you know what to do when you're born again and a true believer. You don't have no doubts. Whatever God said is so. Believe it. And heaven is your home.
Well, I know one of the things that that we all agree that unless you be honest with yourself and honest with, he knows already when you're being honest or not, when you're lying to him.
Amen.
And that's where a lot of people think they can, get over on God or, get over on somebody. And that's, that's, like we were talking this morning earlier about people, an old song about OJ, backstabbing.
Amen.
You have so much that going on nowadays, it's just unbelievable.
Yes, it is.
I mean, that's unbelievable, and people feel it's okay.
Yep. That's because they say good is evil and evil is good.
Well, that says a lot right there. That says a lot right there, and that's why that says that we need a teacher.
Yes, sir.
Somebody's going to explain right and wrong, and make sure that it's understood what is actually being said. And people, and I would say this, where people come to you, at you, but not to you.
Right.
And that's where we have a serious disconnect here nowadays, when people talking at you, but not to you. And then assuming that you understand something, okay, but unless you understand the basics, and that's where another thing we kind of disconnect is people don't understand the basics right now, what they used to.
And you know something else in that chapter, Aaron?
Yes, sir.
That whole chapter is a good foundation of what God said about a marriage, how important it is. See, a person that's married, they should do the things that God said do, and they'll be blessed. Because God believes in the family. So we should believe in the family.
Well, I think, that's a lot of places, a lot of things now, especially here in St. Louis in the last couple of months, where you're seeing more parents being killed by their kids and vice versa, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And that just show you that we're in deep trouble.
Yes, we are.
You know what I mean? Like we just had son kill his father. You know what I mean? Just imagine this, and it's got to the point that you hear it all the time. I mean, it's constantly in the news, okay, about somebody, and the Bible tells you, okay, that the kids should respect the parents, the parents should respect the kids.
Amen.
But they're not. But there's been a great disconnect here, brother. I tell you. But anyway, that's why we do this every Saturday. We try to give people understanding, a little bit of their time, that we can share with us and share with them. That we're trying to, get on track. Because like you said, you look around, the end is forthcoming.
Yes, it comes. It could be any time.
Anytime, that's right. Anytime. And my pastor always said, anytime now, because it's what as the Bible says. You read in pages of the Bible about wars, rumors of wars, all the things, hurricanes, tornadoes, fires. We all live in that right now, really.
Yes, sir.
And that's not the Bible saying it. That's what the papers are telling us. We don't read the Bible, believe what you read in the papers or what you see on TV.
Yep.
It's all in harmony.
They believe the scientists, but they don't believe God. And the book already has told us about what's coming.
Amen. And on that note, we're going to thank you, Rev, for that beautiful message today of understanding where we are and where we should be. And I want to thank you for joining us. Lunch with Missouri Congress for a beautiful Saturday afternoon. Scott, take us out of here. beautiful Saturday afternoon here in St. Louis, after all we are in the spring. Matter of fact, across the country, and I don't say this lightly, the coronavirus, COVID-19, the Delta, and also the Omicron B2A variant, they have continued to increase. But they use the word surge, not increase. And of all the new infections nowadays, B2A is very busy, okay? But now we have a B2A 12.1, which means that that's a whole new something to deal with. And these subvariants are about right now about 23 to 27% are more transmissible than the original B2A. And it's not clear whether they lead to a more severe disease. So right now, as we understood, I thought we had a handle on what we was going into last year. And as we begin to have these mass mandates being, like even this past week, okay, the Florida judge took down the ones down in Florida, a federal judge out of Florida, who the father was unqualified, is the way she interpreted the law as something that was dealing with sanitation, created the backing away of the mandate for public transportation, airlines, airports, your subways and your buses and stuff. Well, that created another era of confusion, but the CDC did come back out and just Department has appealed that, and because right now a lot of people are continuously to get sick. As a matter of fact, all around the country, those numbers are going up. Currently we have had 80.9 million Americans have contracted the disease, and over almost 1 million people have died. Americans have died, not around the world, just in America alone. We have lost that many people. And we ask you to continue to pray for all and continue to wear your face mask, social distance, and washing your hands. Because one thing for sure, I got a call today, my grandson, he got COVID-19, the Delta variant, strain, I should say. Okay, so it is alive and well. And, and I'm saying, I'm hearing this all during the week. People right now are not wearing face masks. And you're hearing now all around the country, matter of fact, now colleges are putting mask mandates back in again. And the bad part about this is that there's no funding now as was in the past. In the past, you could go to any clinic, in any urgent care, hospital, or your doctor's office, and you get treatment, testing for free. Well, now, the funds are no longer there. And so you got to pay. If you don't have insurance, you got to pay. If we got insurance, you are paying for your insurance. And so this is going to be a bad situation. And now people who before weren't being honest now are self-testing. And that is a mess right there all by itself. So we're going to find ourselves worse off, I hate to say this, than we were before, because we had all the rules. We had guidelines. We had, you could go testing all around the country, in the libraries and hospitals and stuff. But now there is no testing like that. So, and really with most airlines, saying, when they did what they were told, and now they're saying you got to put your face mask back on. It's kind of creating a lot of confusion because here in St. Louis, our airport and every airport here in St. Louis, well, they took away, their mask mandates. Well, LA and other places around the country, they are putting in mask mandates. So you get on a plane, you go on someplace, you get off the plane, you got totally new rules. So this is creating some confusion. But the best thing to do is make sure that you protect your own self and use common sense and look out for yourself. And one thing that has been proven, is that if you can wear a mask, you can get one of those KN95 face masks. Those are the best ones that can protect you and your family against the virus that's out there. And those are things that we need to make sure that we're doing as we make sure we're doing what we have to do. Yes, we have to do. I had to close the door. My wife is also in our office on a call. But right now, again, as you go to the stores, you see people right now, especially in the St. Louis area, they keep their masks on. And I don't blame them. And also, in the media, CNN, which has been around for a long, long, long time, well, they just had a shake-up there in that, you heard about, the president had to resign because for sexual misconduct. And so now, in this process, they had launched a couple of new channels, streaming channels, what's called CNN Plus. Well, that launched about a month ago. Well, now they're shutting that down. Okay. And you say, okay, what's going on here? Well, let me try to explain it to you. When this announcement was made, okay, about the former CEO, they were owned by AT&T. Okay, AT&T used to own CNN. Now CNN is now owned by the Discovery Channel and Warner Brothers. And so the new CEO, Chris L-I-C-H-T, Light, is that right, Scott? How to pronounce that?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. He just decided, that he's shutting down the new streaming services. Now they have spent a lot of money to launch this new service. Okay, they had new personnel. They had people coming away from other channels like Chris Wallace got $9 million. Okay, to move over there. These are signed contracts. Okay, you get a couple other people that moved over and stuff, to them, and so that has changed. We're going to be affecting all of those people right now, and so under the CEO David Zas Zalak, is that right, Scott? Zalak.
What's the spelling?
Zaslav.
Vaslav?
Okay, well, anyway, he's now the new CEO. For the channels, and he had his own version, for CNN and one of the siblings. And this will continue, to go back and forth. So kind of stay tuned, okay? But we want to get you, a little bit up to date on what's going on in the media is making these changes. And so right now, you're seeing a lot of things taking place around the country. One of those things is that, we need to talk about this, is the mortgage rates have spiked last week this time, I should say. For a 30-year, was 5%. Today it's up to 5.11%. That's a big jump, in just 1 week, okay? And it's going to continue to go up. And also, we talk about, the unemployment, people looking for jobs. But right now, Karen, if you're American right now, there are 2 jobs. Well, there's 1.7 jobs for every unemployed American right now. So if anybody's looking for a job, they have choices right now. And right now, the unemployment claims are at the lowest they've been since 1970. Well, Scott, that's when I just got out of high school. That's about 1968.
Yep.
That's a long time ago.
Tell me about it.
A very long time ago. And that's why, as you're looking up everywhere you go, there are signs, for hire. Matter of fact, it's kind of bad. Well, we own unemployment discussion here in Missouri. Our House Representative and our senators, legislators right now. Let me say this off the top. Missouri has a surplus right now as we speak. Okay, after paying all the bills, $1.5 billion, for lack of a better description, that they have in surplus as we speak. Now, that means that they have money, but even as we speak, our legislators who are majority Republicans right now are not wanting to spend money, even on the Missouri's teachers are the lowest paid in the country. All of our state workers, the jailers, the staff, very important, they all right now, teachers are all right now the lowest in the country. They're not the lowest, next to being the lowest. And so now, rather than pay our people the good money that they need for their families, and you bring for the state or any place else right now, you look at all these new jobs coming out right now, they're starting about, first I want to fight about $10 to $15 an hour. But right now, most jobs are starting you out right now $18, $20 an hour right now. And then they're giving you a bonus. Because, and with benefits. And so for the state right now, to not want to pay, the people that make, now you talking about the highway workers out here. As a matter of fact, we got a whole lot of them getting killed in Missouri. By people, not looking at, driving intoxicated or not looking what they're doing. So these jobs are hazardous jobs. And so, as a matter of fact, presently right now, we have 275,000 we call them underserved people who need money desperately bad for insurance. That the state is refusing. The legislators are refusing, going on 2 years right now, to fund the program to get them their benefits. And although the people voted twice for them to get their benefits, and the state is refusing, and they're going to sit on, and they got $1.5 billion in reserves. And then I took this, they put aside $300,000 just for them to redo the Capitol in Jeff City. And they're still refusing, to give the employees of the state just basic things. And most employees for the state, working 2 jobs. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of, it's a very bad situation that we find, and that's why most times you say about Missouri, if it's something bad, we are almost in the top 10, or if it's something bad, we always, nothing near the top again, not the top 2 or 3. And so now, we need to look at how we can possibly do some things that can improve our state as a whole. And these are just things and when we still right now have got a map designed to set up redistricting for our congressional districts. And in some cases, that's affecting the districts for your state representatives and for your state senators. And these are just basic things. Matter of fact, there may be two states in the whole country that haven't done that. God bless you, Scott.
Thank you.
Okay, and there only maybe 2 or 3 states that has not got redistricting done. And you said, why do you tell me about this? Well, this is how all the money that's going to be distributed for your congressional districts, for your congressional federal dollars that goes around the state to each congressional district. Matter of fact, one of the hang-ups that we have in here is that presently in Missouri we have 6 Republicans and 2 Democrats. The 2 Democrats are in Kansas City, Corey Bush and Reverend Emmanuel Cleaver in Kansas City. Well, that's status quo. Well, right now, since they can't really change Missouri from being St. Louis from being Democrat, they want to combine Kansas City, Missouri, and the Ozarks in the same district. Now, in case you have not been in the Ozarks, this is a totally different mindset. Am I right, Scott? Am I right, Rev, here? I say this?
As far as I know, yes. I don't
live
there.
In Kansas City. One is a metropolitan area. Right now, Kansas City, Missouri is probably the largest city, is the largest city in the state of Missouri. And you're going to combine the state reps of your congressional representative will have to represent those two, and anything in between there, that's who they have to represent. And now, the people that's involved right now who live in those districts are totally against that. Kansas City want to remain the same, and so does Ozarks. And I've been to both of those, you know, and I'm as the whole, the head of Missouri Chamber of Commerce, I'm in favor of us having the two districts as they stand, for Kansas City, for St. Louis, and but right now the fight is that people who are running for Senate in the United States Senate right now, they're holding up the bills in Kansas in Jeff City. You know, because right now most times you draw the districts according to the people. Now we're drawing the districts according to your representatives, which is totally against. And Scott, you and I were talking about this today, you know, and I talked to a lot of my friends, you know, you talk about Republicans and Democrats. Nowadays, the principles and the understanding of the value that you have shifted, okay, from nobody, you know, like in the case of Republicans, the last time out, during the presidential election, you normally have a plank, okay, of the things that you represent. Well, they didn't have one for the last election. And so now, if a person right now trying to explain what are the Democratic values and Republican values, you got a disconnect there. And that disconnect is trickling down. So now, okay, as we look at the state of Missouri, we are an excellent example that we need help. And unfortunately for us, Senator Rod Blunt is stepping down, and the fight to replace him is about to get nasty. You know what I mean? We have our former governor, Wright, who's running, you know, to replace him. And we got Smith, who's our Attorney General, who's running to replace him. And they're at the top of the heap right now. So there's a fight between the two of them. And it just trickles down. We're seeing that the state is kind of in a holding pattern because most of the House and Senate are controlled by Republicans, and nothing's going to move, okay, because the Senate has people running for to replace Senator Blunt, so people in the House. And so right now, that is bogged down state government as a whole. And although the governor, you know, has ensure how this works out, the Attorney General, most of the time I don't agree with him. His budget that's been sliced of about $500,000, okay, because you know some of the people in there, don't make him look bad, or vice versa. So I mean, so this is some of the things that we're trying to deal with here in Missouri. You know what I mean? And like I said, and this is really crazy. But now, having said that, we also have a little fight going on here in St. Louis for the first congressional seat for Congresswoman, I said, Cori Bush, who was the first black Congresswoman, to hold the seat here. And she's running against a gentleman by the name of, a state senator by the name of Stephen Roberts. Now, unfortunately, I know the Roberts family, you know, so I know a little bit about them, okay, and I kind of think that the family, you know, political people who've done a lot in this area. Well, Mr. Roberts right now has been accused of sexual rape twice in his life. Well, right now, those are the things that's going to be dominating his campaign with Congressman Cori Bush. And there's also be the thing that's going to be dominating the campaign with Governor Wright. Also the same thing. So right now, you know, it's more personal, but what is about the business of the state? What do our people? What do we need? There's so much needed in our cities right now. I mean, all over the country, you know, people are getting killed left and right. I mean, one thing we can say for sure, crime is going up. I mean, we can't say this past year that the first year for our first black female mayor, Tashara Jones, that she had some successes in that she, in the 47th mayor, to lead the city, but also there was a drop in criminal homicides last year, which kind of bucked the national trend. And also, she's bringing some new incentives, to North St. Louis, where most of our development has been in downtown St. Louis, in Central West End, and so with North St. Louis. Matter of fact, we had at least 11 projects. Oh my God, worth over $10 million each. Okay, that all this development, okay, was going either downtown or Central West End, nothing for North St. Louis, period. I mean, so you got to build your whole city. So she got some money now going up to North St. Louis to make some changes there. And also, another thing that's changed also during her watch, for the first time our jail population got down to less than 500 in a very long time. Matter of fact, almost about 257 people that have been incarcerated, and that's a very low figure. So now while there's some good things taking place in some cities, and in some states, okay, we can say things are changing. So, but right now, the thing that blows my mind away, Scott and Red, you can jump in here if you want to, is what's going on in Florida. I mean, we just talked about Texas, going, doing craziness. But right now, in the state of Florida, the legislators are not. What happened here is that they have outlawed math books. Where you teach math. When I was in school, it was arithmetic. Remember those days, Scott? Arithmetic in those days. Well, I don't know about you, Scott. And so nowadays, they call it math. Well, right now they have disallowed over at least 50-some books, okay, to be taught. Now, is this something personal here? How can that be something called racial? In math.
Well, that could be very well word problems.
How's that, Scott?
That could be very easily word problems.
Word problems?
Yeah. There's a lot of word problems in math.
Okay. And so give me an example.
Well, I don't know enough about critical race theory to make a comment on it.
We're not talking about critical race. We're talking about math right now.
No, we are talking about critical race because that's why they banned those books.
Okay. And so right now, critical race theory, okay, as I'm somewhat familiar with it, and up until the last 5 years ago, critical race theory is nothing that's been taught in high schools or grade schools before. It's something that that you teach, and when you're going to be a theologian, you're going to be a philosopher, or stuff like that. You be in the Christian ministry is where the critical race theory kind of originated from, the discussion and definition. And right now, there are very few colleges right now that actually teach critical race theory.
Well, and that's fine, but that's why the books have been disapproved.
I know, and that's my point. Is right now, okay, that critical race theory is that first of all, we have a race problem in this country, okay, that won't go away, and it shouldn't go away because of the race, it's just for the population. We said this on our show maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and I didn't think it would get this bad. For the first time, in our existence in this country, the white male will be in a minority, and so now as we shift toward that, we now have more discussions, okay, about the history. One of the things that the computer has done is people doing more research now, and more books are being written talking about what happened in the South during slavery days, during people being lynched. All these things are coming to the forefront, and so a lot of people, especially in the South, which is kind of funny, people in the South they have so much accepted this and lived with what they did and saying we're sorry for that. And they have moved on in most cases. But it's some people right now that don't want to admit that time has moved on, and doing things. There are several books that have been out for years. One I love to read about was Black Labor, White Wealth, which actually told a story about how we got here, and about how every all the land that was taken from the blacks. Most of the major universities, including the universities right here in St. Louis or Notre Dame, are going down the list. Most of those were built on black folks' land, or Indians' lands. They just took the land from them. And these are things of history that's going to be told one way or another. And I try not to get off into this because a lot of times people don't want to just respect the fact, but history is history. And that's why that's all through the Bible, okay? What the Jews did or didn't do, okay? Well, the Jews weren't the only ones that went through changes, in the Bible. I mean, and that's why the storytelling here in America right now, our story don't want to be told. Matter of fact, every country in the world has a story to tell. And all of them not proud of what they did. But you got one thing you have heard many times. If you don't know where you're going, you're doing it to repeat it again. If you don't know your history. And then sure, we got a lot of things in our country that, like I said, we just got our first Supreme Court justice to be just this year, for the first time. And so that means that for all those years, the black females had no representation on the Supreme Court. Now, do they feel less than a human being? Less than being a real person? That they had no representation? And I can't count. And for the first time, we got our first female black president. For the first time in our history. So right now, as we look at America, there are a lot of things right now that we're doing for the first time. And then we're actually watching. One of the things again that's taking place here is with Hollywood now. They're making more films. There was a time that there was a control on what movies would go out, what movies would not go out. But right now, with so many studios, and another thing that's taking place here is that sort of a Tyler Perry and Oprah Winfrey, you have black people right now who own their own networks. Matter of fact, the Weather Channel is owned by a black man now. So again, Oprah has her own network. Tyler Perry has his own studio and stuff where he makes the movies right now. And so now, not only Tyler Perry, there's several black people now out of Atlanta that have their own studios. And they're making their own movie out of Hollywood. A lot of your basketball players, football players, baseball players who are black right now, they're spending money in their own studios, telling their stories. So there's more information coming out again, and that's not being controlled. Most of the movie industry for years was controlled by the Jews, out of Hollywood. And so now, and like I said, even I hate to get into this again, the deal we have with Will Smith, and Chris Rock about the slap in the narrow. Okay, well, the Academy also for the first time, is starting to get black participation in that. One industry that has moved forward, I should say a couple have moved forward. One is, let's talk about sports for a while here. For the first time, we now had a big deal this month. For the first time, I'm happy to say, we had our first female coach participate in a Major League Baseball game, and she's a white lady from San Francisco, and she got there by accident because the baseball, the coach, the third grade, the first grade coach, one of the two here, got kicked out the game. Well, she was his assistant, so she got put in the game, but so she made history by accident. So women, for the first time, they got into a sport that had been totally controlled by white men. And so right now, there was a time you had a lot of black players that were in baseball. Well, that's not quite true no more. But now football, yes. Track, yes. But how many coaches do you have? Several lawsuits going on right now around the country that's not being talked about. where you have black coaches, saying they were fired for this reason, or looked over for this reason, and not hired for this reason. And this is continue to take place because why? Because you have more and more. See, the more and more money that goes into these players and to these coaches nowadays allows them to speak up, allows them to have look at the laws that have been on the books all this time, but they're not being enforced. Like in basketball, you have basketball is pretty much dominated by blacks right now. And so you have more millionaires per capital than probably that there in any other sport. Just last week we talked about the average baseball player makes over $4 million a year. Over $4 million a year, for baseball players. And now if you look at that, how many baseball players do you have that are black? Now we have people of color, okay. Now one sport that we don't talk about a lot, but I'm very proud of my hockey team here in St. Louis. But on the hockey teams here, we have black players with our team on the Blues for many, many, many years. And I'm proud to say that. But we can't say that for the whole league. And unfortunately, fortunately, some of the best players come from other countries, and like Russia, Ukraine, places like that. And I'm very happy to say that those players, right now are here supporting their people back home, but they got to be quiet. But this integration that is bringing all this about. So as we see changes taking place, we have to just be real with ourselves. And one of the biggest things that's taking place now, okay, is equity in our movie theaters. And that's something that's definitely going to be here for a while. And we see more movies coming out, like I said, here in the state of Florida. We were just talking about the situation with the textbooks. Well, unfortunately, the governors who are now running to be president are creating a whole lot of problems. Disneyland, and we know how this got started, but Disneyland is one of the most famous properties in Florida. Almost everybody want to go to Disney World, not Disney World. And that's in that right, Scott?
That's right. Disney World is in Florida. Disneyland is in California.
California. Okay. So now, anybody that goes to Florida, okay, one of the things, my kids, my grandkids and all, okay, all familiar with going to Disneyland, Disney World, really, Disney World. Well, right now, the state of Florida, because, again, getting back, this wasn't critical race theory here this time, okay? This is talking about gay people. Well, if we all be honest with, okay, most families have a gay person there someplace. And so all of a sudden right now, okay, gay bashing, talking bad about gays, has now become the forefront here. And so now, having said that, we're looking at Disney being stripped of its city powers, okay? And what I mean by that, in Florida, you do not have any personal income tax. Am I right, Scott?
I don't live there. I don't know.
No, personal property tax.
I don't know. I know in Texas you don't have personal property tax.
Okay, we're in Florida also. So right now, okay, Disney pays a lot of money to the state. It has a lot of people that they hire. It created its own industry. And so now the governor got mad and went to the legislature there, and they want to take away the governing rights for Disney World. Now Disney World is a major attraction in the state of Florida. And I said it's not just like we have here Six Flags or something like that. It has a massive complex, and everything that surrounds it benefits out of Disney World. Well, unfortunately, we're going to see repercussions taking place. One time in our legislators, we call legislators, in our houses, representatives, our state senators, state by state. They were there to sit down and talk about things before they made them laws. But nowadays, people are just making laws without any discussions, or passing bills without any discussion. And they always talk about what could possibly take place in advance before you did something. And now you pass a law, and then you're going to ask questions, how is it going to affect who? Well, this is kind of doing things backwards here. That's why, being around politics for a very long time, I ask people all the time, what is it about politics that you don't understand? And one of the things that come about, the first thing comes about, okay, is people trying to understand who's on first and who's on second. Because now nobody understands the thinking about when it is or how it is that taking place. So now, what's going to take place after Disneyland has been totally reorganized? Nobody knows. Now, ideally, the governor, DeSantis, is feeling, still waiting. I mean, he thinks, okay, that by the time this whole thing, come to bear in 2024, he was running to be president, so he won't have that problem. But right now, this is a massive problem for the Republicans in the state of Georgia. Think about all the kids right now, who are in love with Mickey Mouse, and the fantasy that they had there. And by the way, here we go again. Disney has its own studios also. Most of the movies you see nowadays right now coming out from Disney World, or Disneyland, or Disney Studios. And so now, how's that going to affect the movies being made? That whole industry right now is going to look to go someplace else. Or I said it's okay. So a lot of people up for re-election will have to pay a price. Because right now people want answers and they can't get any answers. And this is just some of the issues that we're dealing with around the country that we read about, and we talk about, and it's for real. And like Scott just mentioned earlier on, we talk about the math, but well, everything kind of rolls into everything that are going to become political issues that people want to talk about. Matter of fact, to show how this works out, the math books that are now going to be used in Florida are being made by one company now. And guess what? Who owns that company? The new governor of Virginia. Okay? He will be making all the math books for the state of Florida. His math book is the only one that's been approved for all. Can you imagine from kindergarten to high school how much money that is? That's a whole lot of money, okay? But it's only one man's philosophy, okay, that's going to be utilized for math. And so now when those people from Florida go someplace, take some tests, try to get hired other places, because of math, there's going to be a disconnect there. I mean, so these are the things that we're looking at here that connect themselves in such a way that we just look at it and say, it don't affect me, but it does. It does, because you're going to go to Florida, you're going to be visiting down there, you know what I mean? You're going to be paying higher prices, for to go to Disney World. You're going to be paying higher prices when you go on a cruise someplace down there, because, hey, the money, there's no tax base there as things move around. So these are just some of the things that we got to look at. Also, another big issue, before I get off the file here, is the shortage, I should say, of truck drivers. Now, to give you a good example, I'll put this up here. Tesla, had these driverless cars, and they've been around for a while. And they also have, some of the cars have a feature they call a smart summer feature, which can give it to the car. Well, this rich guy in Florida, well, I was just saying Florida. This rich guy was going to the airport. Now he also has a jet worth $3.5 million. Guess what? The driverless car runs into the jet. So now, could you imagine how much money he just got? But believe it or not, shall let remain anonymous right now, has ordered over 300 tractors to pull trucks over our highways about a couple of years ago. So already we got these driverless trucks on our major highways pulling freight. Now, Scott, you travel a little bit. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on it is it's an emerging technology. It'll get better as they develop it.
Okay, but I'm saying, but you as out there on your bike, okay,
Yep.
with a driverless truck, okay, and on this radar, if it's not been programmed to look out for you, what happens? You in trouble.
Well, you can be until they get the technology right.
Yeah, I mean, but until they get the technology right, okay, because right now they're fighting about that because we are planning to have one of our truck driver friends on in the near future. We've been discussing this for quite a while. But these are some of the things, okay, that most times, in fact, a couple weeks ago, I went from my house over to one of our, to a funeral for one of our members over in Kinlock, Missouri. Well, I tried my my WAS, I tried my GPS and all that stuff, and none of them could get the streets right in Kinlock. You know why? Because all the streets have been blocked off and changed.
Yep. Well, that's where you get to report those incorrect directions to Google or whatever.
Yeah, well, to Google or whatever, okay? So right now, if a truck, and right now, as we work with these tractor trailers, okay, which is putting tons and tons down our highways, we have a problem with truck drivers right now for killing people.
Well, and that's you're right. That's why they're trying to go to driverless.
Well, right now, Scott, I know we all travel, and we're going to be traveling more in the days to come. So I'm saying, be careful, and that's much. Look out, and I always say, keep your eyes ahead of you, and not be on your cell phone. And Scott, I know for one, you on your bike, you don't talk on the telephone, which is yeah, because that's a good thing, you know what I'm saying, and that's something that we all need to be doing, you know what I'm saying, because it's so important that we understand that what we're doing, because otherwise we're going to kill somebody.
Or somebody's going to kill us.
Yeah.
But that's why everybody needs to look out for themselves on the road.
Yeah, that's the thing, okay, Scott, that it comes down to. And that's the thing that nobody wants to get credit for. And also, now, as we have this discussion, I will also belated happy birthday to Queen Elizabeth II. She proud to celebrate 96 years old. This was her first birthday without her late husband, Prince Philip. And so she had a peaceful holiday, what they call it in Britain, in London, okay? And I wish she had many, 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 many more, okay? And that's one of those places that's continue to celebrate old things, but nothing really stayed the same. But she has stayed the same as the monarch there has continued to be something good. Now also, in Washington this week, a lot is taking place about before and after the presidential elections in 2020. It's making headlines as new books are being released with audio tapes about action in the White House by Republican Party leaders before and after the election. And right now, a lot of audio tapes, reveal. Matter of fact, this is the thing we talked about before. If you are an election official and you're using government money, you keep records of everything that you do in case something comes up. So right now, a lot of information has been given to the select committee. A lot of interviews have been given to these different reporters, telling them version of stuff. And right now, the person I hate to be right now is a gentleman by the name of Kevin McCarthy, who's right now the minority leader of the House of Representatives. And there's a book just came out that this will not pass, and it was shared with CNN. and some other networks about some of the comments that he made. Right after the January the 6th insurrection in our country, and also not only just him, okay, but also with Mitch McConnell, a whole lot of people said a lot of things, and then all of a sudden people change things around. Well, right now, those things are coming to light about what took place, what people said, and it's not being too pretty right now, to be honest with you. And so right now, as you watch the news, you're going to hear more and more and more, and it's interesting to watch to see, who's going to step up. And right now, what Donald Trump has been talked about, and just yesterday, last evening, he finally came out in response to what McConnell, McCarthy has said about him taking responsibility for some of his actions, and that he said that wasn't quite true what he had said, and that he took no responsibility. And so this is going to be a big deal, for the next couple of weeks, in the news. And also, as we listen to this, more things are being pointed, and also, as we all know, for the first time in our history, we have not had a lot of former presidents that have, stayed on, in campaign or trying to be involved in elections, like President Trump is doing. And so now this is creating more problems for the party itself. And I say that because we just talked about what's going on in Florida. We just talked about what's going on in a lot of these representatives, Missouri, and some other places, and which is not good. Well, another thing that's slowly circling around here is the White House, the former White House, I should say, and a lot of their members or staff members have come before the January 6th House of Representatives Select Committee on January 6, 2021, conspiracy that's taking place, that's being discussed, and the research that's being done. Now keep in mind, in a couple of weeks now, this is going to be on prime time TV. And a lot of these people that we talk about right now, especially in the White House, have gone before the committee and under oath, okay, they raise their hand under oath right now, and are telling their stories about what they did or what they did not do. And this is making front page news already. But right now, the committee knows more than you and I know, probably I would know, because even like Donald Trump Jr., he just was going before the committee a second time. His sister went before the committee most recently. So did her husband, Kushner, and most of the top staff members. And a lot of these people right now are thinking about how history reflect on them, and they have time to think about this. And so now we're going to see, for the first time in our history, a thorough investigation into who will be in Congress, who will not be in Congress. Now I say that because while this is going on in Georgia, this past week, coming from a Marjorie Taylor Greene, which you heard a lot about, she's in Georgia. She's been very hostile. Even yesterday, I watched some of the TV yesterday. She was having a sworn testimony about an accident that she did and said, and a video that she said. Now, why is this important? Well, there was a law, an amendment, I should say, back in 1868, that was passed by the Congress and what have you, our leaders here, and it was a handful of U.S. House Representatives maybe disqualified. But what this law did was, when it was created, it was meant to make sure that people who were in the Confederate Army could not be in Congress, could be in the Senate or in the House, and because they had fought against our country. And so that meant that they could not, they didn't want them to be making laws that would be favorable traitors that they would call in those days. And so right now, Marjorie Taylor Greene is the first congressperson to be on trial to see if that law affects her. Now, her election is up. She's up for re-election. The primaries in Atlanta, in Georgia, I should say, next month. And so this will have an effect because a lot of people on the Republican side have come out against, who will participate. A lot of them did. Matter of fact, one of those persons is Josh Hawley right here in Missouri. Now, we already know Josh Hawley has no intention of running for re-election as a senator. I mean, we know that already. Okay, but there are other congressmen, who, matter of fact, when we had the vote to confirm or not to confirm President Joe Biden, a lot of congressmen and congresswomen and senators voted, not to confirm him. Well, how you determine that, it may be determined that has been a act of treason, so to speak. So this trial is very important in that way. So here, we should have some type of decision made now to where this works out. There before a administrative judge right now, and he should be ruled in the next week or so. And what he does then, he passes a recommendation on to the Secretary of State, Mr. Rothenberg. We heard him, be castrated by the president and some other people, and he's up for electing his own self this year. And so in Georgia, and so he will make the final decision, okay, whether or not that the law applies to her. Well, for all things that you heard so far, she would be considered to be a traitor in most countries. The thing that she said, and so this is about to play out, and it's playing out, I should say, in front of us, our very eyes, as we watch this. Now, another crazy thing that we're going to find out that is going to be taking place here is that as the select committee, continue to wind down, build up to the prime time hearings and stuff, a lot of stuff. Over 800 and some people have been interviewed. They have tapes. They have texts. They have emails, personal testimonies from a lot of people that's going to come out. And I think it's not going to look too good for a lot of people. So right now, this is taking place in the pipeline. So again, and also, for the Republican Party, there's some pictures being circulated right now. We heard the name before, Madison Hawthorne. Now, he's a freshman congressman from the South, a very conservative congressman. A couple months ago, he came out publicly and said that the Republicans would have private orgies and cocaine parties, and that he was involved with. Well, there's always a picture someplace, okay? Well, there are pictures out right now with him in women's lingerie, of all things, in a party city. So this is not going to pay out good, in the end of the day, as this becomes more and more and more. And at the time, matter of fact, Kevin McCarthy kind of banded him, took him to the bullshit, as we call it, and read him rights, and kind of, put him in the doghouse. And also, we had talked a little bit about this. In our country right now, just yesterday, there was a morning, there was a gathering, I should say, in Memphis, Michigan, for the late Mr. Patrick Lyles. Another black man shot in the back of the head. He was underarmed by a white police officer after a traffic stop. Now, all the videos are out there to see for yourself. I won't try to get into it. But one thing that you can see during the close-ups, this man was confused about what was being said. Now, what I didn't understand is why would he have to be chased? It was raining. The man was going to go off and leave his car running. So why chase him? Or why not call for help? But you're going to run him up and down the block, then throw him down, you on top of him. So there was no threat to nobody here. You can shoot him in the head. This makes no sense. All after a traffic stop. The unity was given by Reverend Al Sharpton, and he did as usual, a great eulogy, and also Benjamin Crump, the attorney, Al Sharpton, the American attorney for Black America, General for Black America, also spoke, and he'll be handling the cases for the family there. And this will be something that we're going to be in the news, and also closer to home here in the last tornado season. We still into, matter of fact. Anybody read about Edwardsville, Illinois, where Amazon's service center warehouse was destroyed by tornadoes. Well, Mr. Crump is also defending some of the families there about what took place that day, how Amazon was not properly the warehouse. Well, it's going to be interesting how this works out, because Amazon didn't build a warehouse; they just leased their space from a company that built a warehouse. And so this is going to be how this all is going to play out. But Amazon probably going to get kicked around here, but in the presence of Amazon. And I saw these warehouses over in Illinois, Scott. I don't know if you've been there before. These are big buildings they got over there. Boy, I mean, some big old things. I mean, they're huge, and they're building more of those. And that's a trend around the country, And so we're gonna see how that plays out. And so it's gonna be in the news, and also something that's returning with the comments right now. As the unions around the country are making headway, and with Amazon, they appealing the union victory they had in New York most recently. That's an appeal, which is natural, but that's taking place. And I said that's taking place, and also one of the things that as we look around our own selves, I want to say, life is good on a beautiful Saturday, and I'm losing my voice here. We had a guest that should overdue by now. And Scott, on that note, life is good. Take us out of here. Congress on a beautiful, beautiful Saturday afternoon here in St. Louis. My name is Fowlkes, that's Scott, that's real. And you had a long version, okay, of me, because I guess today got tied up, could not make it, so we had to fill in. As you can see, we were prepared to talk about a lot of things, a lot of different subjects, okay, that's going on around the country. But there's one thing that's going on around the country that's affecting us from all the way around the world. I'm talking about in the country of Ukraine. Now, you said, people say, well, how does it affect me? Well, it affects us in so many ways. And this past Saturday, we have a stream that our program does on Facebook and YouTube. And people are aware that, Scott, tell us what happened that we lost our stream last week. Tell us about that.
Well, I couldn't create a stream to Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube, and I'm thinking it's because the Restream, which is the service I use, is based out of Ukraine.
Wow.
So it's working today, and that's a good thing.
Okay. So that's why people understand Ukraine. You know, there's a lot of stuff you get on the internet that connects all around the world that allow us to do what we do.
That's right.
And that's why the use of technology. Now, having said that, as we watch what's going on in Ukraine, you know, I use the word senseless, and I also use the word merciless, because so far, I don't think that I have seen or I have read any place where there's a good reason, okay, other than President Putin of Russia wanting to take back Ukraine and put it back into Russia. And what happened about, I think it was 8 years ago, in 2014, I want to say, that he attacked Ukraine then and took part of Ukraine back, you know, for Russia. But the places that he took back, okay, they still had not been rebuilt. And so right now, what he's destroying in Ukraine now, if it's not being built by Ukraine, Russia has no chance to build it back. So, Rev or Scott, help me understand, you know, your thoughts about why this is going on.
Well, Ukraine is probably the first of the entire Iron Curtain that he really wants.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, it's a big country too.
well, Ukraine is, yeah, and there's a lot of big countries that used to be in the Iron Curtain, but
Mm-hmm.
I think those countries have gotten a taste of democracy, and that's why they don't want to go back to communism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, in Ukraine, you know, has the one of the world's largest nuclear plants. You know, a couple, I should say, that Ukraine has. Ukraine has a lot of resources there. You know, and not only that, it has a lot of historical buildings, a lot of rich history and stuff. You know, because I was fortunate enough to have one of my therapists. Her family's from Ukraine, you know, from over in Ukraine. You know, and she visited several of the countries, in the cities there. And she was just telling me about all the, you know, the beauty, you know, and all the, you know, the rich heritage that they had for years, okay. And one thing that they all proud of, okay, is them being Ukraine citizens, okay, and proud of their heritage. And you know, and they're very proud of what they have been able to accumulate, create for themselves. And you know, and like I say, you look at some of the buildings that they have there. Oh my God! You know, some of the churches just beautiful. You know, what I mean, the artwork and stuff like that. You know, and I just don't. Ray, you can help me out. You've been in battles in the wars before. From a technical perspective, okay, how do you see this with Putin's? You know, is there any way that he can get out of this and save face?
Putin is a crook. He's a big crook, and he wants everything to go his way. And Putin is in a position where he got power. So that's that spiritual wickedness in high places, which is destroying the economy. They don't care about the Russians. It's sort of like going into another civil war, fighting against your own people with destruction.
Yeah. Because a lot of people in Ukraine are also, you know, have Russian, you know, dual citizenship. they're Russian and Ukrainians.
Well,
Yep, they got it's some valuable stuff there too. That's why they fight like they are now too. Just like in Vietnam, they fighting over the oil. The United States, French, all of trying to get a little piece of that oil and action that's going on.
well, there's also Ukraine has quite a few biolabs, labs. So
Well,
yeah,
Ukraine, for the most part, seems to has been like a very industrious country, for lack of a better description.
yes,
I mean, and I say that because, like I said, the stream that we had last week, okay, by internet, who knew, okay, that went to Ukraine, and it had an effect on what we were doing here in our country, or here at our station.
yeah.
I mean, and I mean, that's what I said. So as we look at this, and one of the things, President Zelensky, I will say this for him. Prior to this, he was an entertainer, so he knew how to use media. And I think he's doing a hell of a job now of taking advantage of his expertise in the media. Would you say so, Chuck?
Yes, absolutely. It's unprecedented.
Yeah, it's unprecedented, and I think, as we look and listen, and Chuck, you've been a world traveler, and I think for the first time in recent history, the United Nations, the European nations, and most of the countries, France, Italy, France, and also in the United Kingdom, we all on the same page with America for the first time in a long time. And that is a rarity, Basket, when you say so.
We've been kind of forced into a proactive posture.
Okay.
President Zelensky, he went out there and said that your sanctions aren't enough. You really didn't go that far with the sanctions. And, there's a lot of politics as to what occurred with those sanctions. And if you notice, when he said sanctions aren't going to win the war, and that's where we need more equipment, more hardware. And that's when they went back and passed more bills and things that allow more money to be sent in there. And they're doing more than sending money now. We've got military advisors there, as well as the developers. The people, the defense contractors have their people there, and there's a couple weapons they created or took what we had and reshaped them to fit what was needed there. And my observation, and Scott, you may weigh in on this, but I see that I look at things like TikTok and whatever, where they can have the people themselves post their own visuals, whether and who's to say whether it's fake or not, but what I'm seeing doesn't look fake, to where they've got, and I don't know what the thing is called, but they got the anti-aircraft weapons to where these things are shooting whatever kind of bullets they are at such a rapid pace and anticipating, and man, they are killing the airspace. Whether it's MiGs or helicopters, boy, they are taking them out like left and right.
Well, they did recommission that big battleship as a submarine.
Yeah, and they didn't say it, but it's possible that some sort of aquatic drone may have been used.
Oh, I'm sure.
In that, because I saw a video of it exploding, and it didn't look like it was a something that was
projected from a above the water kind of thing, like a gun from a howitzer or something from another ship, or something from like a missile or something like that from some distance away. That thing was just sitting there, and all of a sudden it blew up. So it could have been something underwater or whatever, and it seemed to hit right where they were storing their ammunition. You know, that thing really went up. So this stuff going on, we're not hearing all the details of it, and you know, and I wouldn't expect that we would, but there's something to be said, and the thing that Zelensky's also saying, the president of Ukraine, he's also saying too that whether you all realize it or not, NATO better wake up, because he's not planning on stopping here. And now they started talking about, is it Moldova or some other place there that they want to keep going and get these boundaries realigned.
Right. You know, another thing, Chuck, you know, you mentioned here a few minutes ago about these missiles, how they're clean. You know, now those American missiles, you know, that we sent over there, that's kind of controlling the airspace. Am I right?
Right.
You know, because one thing that you notice, he stopped asking for airplanes now, but he got those missiles that you said now, okay, that can take down helicopters, can take down anything that's out there, that's flying over, you know, and then they have to be trained on how to use it. And now, as we can see, they're sending in now helicopters and stuff now, and more drones. And I think one of the things, just my personal opinion here, also like yours, that the fight right now is that Russia is probably in its weakest moment now, you know, should be, because now Finland and some other countries, Sweden right now, they're saying that we don't trust you. We also want to take on Russia also. Because they want to, you know, and they had beat Russia in the past, you know, Sweden has, you know, Finland, people like that, how they fight in the snow and stuff. You know, and there are some very, very, very good fighters there. And I think now that Russia is going to be, you know, tested more and more by other countries, you know, as they try to, you know, sustain their own self now. Would you agree on that?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you're talking about Finland, because I was just hearing. I started listening to NPR news.
Yes.
They get a little. They're a lot less partisan.
Yes.
And they got people over there on the ground, and they were saying that I think it's Finland they have 170,000 soldiers, and they have redeployed some amount of them towards into Ukraine. There are people from other countries fighting there, and they're taking that. You know, it's like we're not going to wait till they get on our doorstep to stop it.
Right.
You know, we want to stop them where they are over there, and you know, that's kind of like the American approach is like, no, we're going to bring the battle to you. And we're not going to wait till you get to our house and then start defending our front door. No, we're going to go and stop this right here and now.
Yeah.
So,
go ahead. And having said that, Chuck, I think right now that as much as Russia has, it's like, I hate to use it, it's Wizard of Oz, whereas Putin before this, he had the nuclear weapons that he said at his disposal, okay? But right now, around the world, people are looking at him now. If you cannot just take out Ukraine, a small country to the next doorstep, how can you consider to be a world power other than having nuclear weapons?
that's right.
You know,
But see, that's the big elephant in the room. This guy's like really threatening and talking. You know, he's talking tough. He's talking about, you know, I'm not afraid to use nuclear weapons. That's where the mess comes in.
Yeah, I mean, that's when the rubber hits the road, and, you know, when you want to put the pedal hits the metal.
Yep.
Let me ask you a question, Chuck, on Scott here. Already, you know, Reverend Scott being, you know, people know that Scott Rev had been in the war. What would happen, okay, if a nuclear weapon was fired into Ukraine? What would that do? How many people would that affect? How would that play out?
Well, would probably play off if it were nuclear or something like that. Probably be a world nuclear war.
So that means the United States will shoot back at Russia then?
Possible. That depends on the current administration.
Hey, you remember the atom bomb?
Yeah.
Remember when they first did that and how they did it? Is whoever get there the quickest, and whoever make the first move, they got it covered. They done finished about everything. It's how quick you move and be accurate and keep everybody else confused.
Okay. Sean, what's your thoughts?
You're talking about the plausibility of an atom bomb.
Nuclear, well, right now is it was the atom bomb then, but it's a nuclear bomb now. And what Rev's saying, if I hear right, Rev, is that whoever shoots first would actually, will be the person that would dominate the game. Am I right, Rev?
That's right.
You were talking about where the rubber meets the road.
Mm-hmm.
That's the real $1,000 question, $1 billion question of who's what's that? Who's froggy? Who leaps first?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's a mess. Let's hope it doesn't get that far because I don't know if anybody survives that. We've got 17 Trident submarines that have nuclear warheads. I think like 20 or more on each submarine. That is like 70 times more powerful than what we used in Japan.
Yep.
World War II, and there's not going to be much left if that happens. If they start firing off them things, we're all in trouble.
Well,
Yes, sir.
hopefully cooler heads prevail, as they say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, since we have broached this conversation, okay. What would those be aimed at? Okay, since the war in Ukraine is, if he would shoot something to Ukraine, all right, and that would open up the door for the United States to shoot where?
Moscow.
They're already pre-programmed.
Yeah, they're all ready to shoot wherever.
Okay, and so right now, with him shooting into Ukraine, when would that put the United States next? The first hit would be Ukraine. Then the next hit with the United States would hit Moscow.
I don't know about that. The first one could be America.
Well, they're worried about that. They can't allow. You fire a nuclear weapon, and you're the first to go. You got to take everything out.
Yeah. So
You can't. If you hit us with a nuclear weapon, and there are a lot of war games and modules and computer programs and things like playing out a chess match. If you make this move and the counter move is this, and then you do that or whatever, this one is short. You gonna get probably to pull the trigger one time.
yeah.
And the thing about it is that before that missile or that bomb hits its target, everything else is like it's quick strike. So you got to react before that thing disables you to react. So as soon as the button is pushed, the reaction button is pushed. And those things take a few minutes to get to their target. Even though now, see, here's the other crazy thing. I believe it's called hypersonic.
Yeah, that's
Have
the
you heard
new
about
one.
that? The hypersonic? See, we're all programmed for supersonic. supersonic is like what, Mach 2, Mach 3, Mach
yeah.
5, somewhere around in there.
Right.
Hypersonic is like 15,000 miles an hour.
Well, besides that, remember, when you're pushing the button, you're not just pushing the button for one missile. You're pushing the button for whatever hundreds of missiles that you have.
So if I hear what you're saying, Scott, in answer to what Chuck was saying, that when that's not the president right now, hit the button, okay? All those submarines that Chuck just described is out there, they all go at the same time.
They can, yeah.
What is it? They are programmed such a sequence, I would imagine.
Right.
That some would hit here in their program to go to get the most to maximize the damage, for each shot. I would imagine.
Yeah.
So now that brings me to my next question. We've been on this for a long time. What about all these weapons that we said that can be that are defense that can stop these bombs and anything that we had that can stop those from hitting different places?
Yeah. Everything is coming up from when you look at the map over there, and you see Russia, Ukraine, and all those different areas. When you study the map, and you see that the United Kingdom is way up north from there, and they got people there and rockets and everything set up. Everybody got everything set up. It's just who gonna get it done first.
Ira, I don't think that we'd have to worry about if they decided to choose the nuclear option. Here in St. Louis, we have Boeing. We're probably one of the number one targets on the list.
I know that already. Man, we got the Scott Air Force Base also.
Yeah, but that's generally a materiel command.
I guess I'm saying, well, Boeing, okay, is true. But I'm saying, but from a strategic point of view, Scott Air Force Base kind of controls most of the things that go down around the world from all of the planes and stuff that they manage out of Scott Air Force Base. Is what I'm saying.
Yes.
To me, they'd be more strategically target than Boeing would be.
Well, I don't know. Boeing might be a heavier target because of what they developed. But
ain't it more? And it's more airplanes and stuff around the world that we don't know about.
That's exactly right.
And there you go. That's unclassified.
Okay, now where would they be Washington D.C. where Chuck is at?
It's one of the top targets.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. They can do whatever they want to do, when they want to do it, or how they want to do it.
Like I said, we wouldn't have to worry for too long.
Yeah.
The question.
Go ahead, Chuck.
The question is, what can we do to promote peace and love through the world? Which is what we're doing.
Right, and understanding, okay, that something Rodney King said, can we all get along? Can we all get along?
I'm still trusting and obeying God, and God is in control of everything.
Now, that is true.
So whatever they think they want to do, they can't do it unless God permit them to do it. I don't care whether you good or bad or what. It's up to God whatever happens, not us.
Well, Scott, Chuck, you being quiet. Come on.
I'm not being quiet.
I mean, Chuck, come on, Chuck.
Well, I'm going to drill down into it just a little bit more. And if this is our debate class in school, somebody's got, we got to represent both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And we, if we get past the headlines or the media spin You know, Putin's upset about something.
Right.
You know, and part of the can we get along is, you know, can we understand somebody else's plight or situation, or what are they angry about?
And what does he want?
Yeah, and so there's a number of factors that have contributed to it, and part of it is it's kind of like whatever happened with Kim Jong, or the guy in North Korea. Trump is calling Rocket Man.
Kim Jong-un.
Yeah, after they talked to him, he seemed to calm down a little bit. You know, I mean, everybody was hard on Trump for going over and talking to him, but whatever happened, he felt like, all right, so I got a chance to speak. You know, y'all heard my voice. And Trump was kind of doing that with Putin a little bit. And a lot of it is saying that, you know, so you drill down into it. So what is it? Those are countries that don't have central banks that ultimately are controlled by the Rothschild system. And they're the ones that really are controlling the world. And you find, too, that a lot of the people that are supplying military equipment, intel, all that kind of stuff, they work for both sides.
Right.
And they're making money as long as there's conflict.
Oh, yes.
So there's some people that, you know, there's some people that don't, that have a lot of financial influence on it, that don't want it to be peaceful. They don't want to let Putin come to the table, you know, and figure it out. So there's the NATO thing, where it's NATO versus the Warsaw Pact. And the Warsaw Pact is really the communist countries. And then NATO is really very, very American-led, but, you know, America is kind of like the poster child, or they put our face on it, but it has a lot to do with the Bank of England.
Oh, yes.
You know, Bank of England really is our daddy. And so there's you know, I'm delving off into some things that really get dangerous. They don't want the average public to know, you know, the real story here. And that's kind of like then what happens to, because crypto was offsetting that power, that financial power. They didn't have control of it. They were trying to get it, even though the Chinese and some of these other countries dove in, saw the opportunity, and they made sure that they understood it and got their hands in it in terms of building the equipment and helping to develop. And then they turned around and said, we won't recognize it in our country anymore. You won't be able to use it, because it starts getting way out of control. You know? So there's a lot of variables there, Ira, but to be honest with you, I don't think that it's going to get to a nuclear escalation. I mean, if it did, it's out of control. You know, it's something else. And so I saw something online about America has spent billions of dollars in underground military bases. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, a little bit about it. But, you know.
Well, I mean, these are like cities under the ground, and they're connected by tunnels, and they're using some sort of subsonic transportation. They've got a transportation network already kind of figured out amongst these different installations, and they're on magnetic rails, and they can go, you know, like Mach speeds and stuff, but they're underground. They're like in tubes. It's like a tube. You know how it used to be when you were in an old bank or something, and they would send a receipt or money or something from one location to another, and they put that little thing in a cylinder in a tube. They kind of still do it at some drive-throughs for banks. You get that thing, and you know, the plastic thing, you put your check or your ID or something in it, and push a button, and it goes.
Well, pneumatic tubes work a whole lot different than magnetic ones.
yeah, but I'm just saying that there's more development, other things going on
Right.
that we're not talking about. And so, if there was, so all that was to say, if there was a nuclear attack, there is some contingency plans for who's left. And what is that going to be? So
Guarantee,
let's
Chuck.
hope it's not.
I guarantee those plans don't include normal people like you and me, Chuck.
No, it definitely does not. That's what I'm saying. We don't even know about it. There's someplace, this company, I forgot the name of them, but they're a defense contractor, and they have they got compact body bags inventory in surplus. They got these things that you can put 4 bodies in one little.
One sack.
It's like you stack you up and put you in a thing and zip it up. They're prepared for some high level casualties. So I think that's what Scott's alluding to. But what I'm saying is, let's not, as people, as the average citizen or somebody's concerned, we can't defer and let the government or let whoever is really pulling the strings or pushing the buttons for government. We don't want to let them just totally have it their way. They got their thing planned. I mean, they're not putting all this money into these rockets that can go up here at the space station. And even Elon Musk then came up with a phone that works in outer space.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen that yet. Is it a satellite-based phone?
He's got whatever company it is that's related to Tesla. They've been creating a phone. And the phone is far advanced for its capability and capacity, what it could do to operate in different atmospheres, different environments. It's got 100 megapixel camera on it. Far superior to anything they got out here now.
Well, Chuck, on that note, we're going to let you kind of give us a wrap up right quick because we got into something that people have been talking about, want to talk about, they ain't talking about it, we talking about it.
Yeah. Well, we're very much part of it. We're awake. We're paying attention, and we're encouraging all of our constituents to read or to ask questions, investigate, and be active. We're not just letting government rule and mandate to us. So, just a quick thing. You're asking like what did we do this week or what's going on. We were honored to be invited to meet with the president of Tanzania. It's a woman, and she was in New York and she was in D.C. I personally wasn't able to attend, but some of our members were, and very much. And so there were some signings at the U.S. Chamber yesterday. That were some MOUs and things that were kind of a good indication that where the American government is being a little bit more empathetic and participating with some of the African countries, and particularly as it relates to infrastructure development and our company's construction. It just so happens that one of our top members is a civil engineering firm, and they've been asked to help build a container port in East Africa for the country of Tanzania. So it's a big project. A lot of things happen. But, while you're looking to the left, there's a lot of work going on the right. If you're looking on the right, it's going right up under you in the middle or on the left. So stay awake. We got a lot of
Well, on that note, we're going to thank you for joining us. Lunches with Missoula Chamber of Commerce, and you had an international conversation today. And also, a quick wrap up. My name is Aaron Fowlkes, host and also the founder of the Missoula Chamber of Commerce, along with Chuck DeBow, our national Black Chamber of Commerce executive director, as well as a bottle washer, bookkeeper. His list goes with it, okay? And Scott holds a similar title at the station Christian Ministry, I'm talking to your doctor. He's a bottle washer, engineer, dishwasher, and all that stuff. And Reverend Lyles, he's our spiritual advisor. We want to thank him and all of our listeners for letting us be coming to your homes. My name is Aaron Folks. Life is good. Have a safe. As a matter of fact, wear your face mask. Please keep those on.
Amen.
Hope it is going no place. You just come back in a new form with a new head upon you. And that note, life's good. And check what you got to say. Get out of here.
God bless everybody. Thank you. And Reverend, pray for us all. Love y'all. God.
Amen.